Happy Valentine's Day to you at home.
Lavender everywhere. That always cheers me up. Good morning. Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We're going to get started with the cleanup after yesterday's winter storm that slammed the Northeast. Nearly 50 million Americans were under winter alerts as the swift-moving snowstorm blanketed the region.
Parts of Pennsylvania, Connecticut, and New Jersey clocked in with well over a foot of snow. During the morning commute, it was falling up to 2 inches an hour. Well, the storm has now moved out. There is concern this morning that the overnight freeze could cause problems on the roads as melting snow and standing water turn to ice. Pennsylvania was hit especially hard. More than 130,000 people lost power, and troopers responded to 1,200 plus roadway incidents. Air travelers didn't fare much better. The snowy conditions caused more than 1,500 flights to be canceled. And in New York City, more than 3 inches of snow fell in Central Park. That may sound rather minuscule, but it's actually the most the city has seen since 2022. Meteorologist Angie Lassman joins us now with more on all this.
Hey, Angie, good morning.
Good morning, guys. I got to start things off with a much quieter forecast for the Northeast and a festive one at that. We've got lovely conditions in lovely Pennsylvania. Of course, for Valentine's Day in Romance, Missouri, we're looking at temperatures into the low 60s. These numbers well above normal for this time of year. We've got Valentine, Nebraska coming in at a chilly 37 degrees with dealing with mostly cloudy conditions through the day today. And Darling, Arizona expected to hit 50 degrees with full sunshine later today. Out west, we've got our next storm system that's going to impact folks from Roseville, California to Sweet, Idaho. But it won't hamper your plans too much as we go through the rest of our work week. But let's talk about what we've got now. 8 million people under these winter alerts. This has nothing to do with that system that we saw yesterday. That one is long gone. Now we're watching this next Clipper system that will exit the Rockies and be a quick moving storm system that brings some light accumulations, mostly to folks across the Midwest, the Great Lakes, and eventually the Northeast in the next 48 hours. Here's the deal by later today. You can see the northern plains picking up some of that snow. We'll have those advisories in effect from basically the Dakotas to Michigan through the day today before that system quickly works out to the east. A little bit of snow, a little bit of rain impacting folks across the Northeast here as we get into the day tomorrow. It's not going to be crazy amounts of snow by any means, and that system will be long gone by the time we get to the end of our work week. But of course, next in line of the storm systems, this one that we'll watch work into portions of the Tennessee Valley, impacting folks with a little bit of rain. Memphis to Cincinnati could see the potential for a wintry mix and maybe even some snow across this region before it continues working east. And I know this is what everyone wants to see, those snow totals. Not all that impressive for the most part. We could see a couple spots in northern Michigan, maybe parts of the Dakotas picking up 4 inches, 6 inches. But for the most part, it looks like 1 inch to 2 inches across that region. Similar story across the Northeast. We'll pick up maybe 1/4 of an inch to 1 inch for most folks. Meanwhile, right now, temperatures in places like Kansas City, who, by the way, have a Super Bowl parade later today, those are going to be quite warm. 64 degrees for folks that'll be out there celebrating that win later this afternoon. We've got 65 in Little Rock. Columbus heads to the low 40s. Even that is above normal for this time of year. So it feels like spring across this region. We've got mid-60s on tap tomorrow for Raleigh, upper 60s for Tupelo, and into the 70s and well into the 70s for Houston with a high of 76 degrees. So not feeling much like winter there. We will see temperatures dip slightly here as we get into the weekend. Places like Pittsburgh will drop down into those low 30s by Saturday. New York City ends up into the upper 30s by Saturday too, guys.
Trying to contrast today's temperature in Kansas City with that incredibly cold game there just a few weeks ago.
Isn't that, wow, that's a really good perspective.
Yeah, in a very short period of time.
A very short period of time.
Good to have the warm weather today.
Yeah, good timing for that. I like your hearts, Angie.
I like yours.
Thank you. Now let's head to Capitol Hill, where House Republicans have voted to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas over his handling of the border. The historic vote makes Mayorkas the first cabinet secretary to be impeached in more than 100 years. The House held the vote last night, exactly 1 week after their first attempt collapsed on the floor. For his part, Mayorkas called the allegations baseless.
On the other side of the Capitol, the Senate passed a long-delayed national security package that includes foreign aid for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan, but the bill faces an uphill battle in the House. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer praised the aid package and called on House Speaker Mike Johnson to put politics aside to get the bill passed.
I will say to Speaker Johnson, I am confident that there's a large majority in the House who will vote for this bill. I am confident there are many Republicans in his caucus, I know I've spoken to a whole bunch of them, who feel strongly we ought to pass this bill. I call on Speaker Johnson to rise to the occasion, to do the right thing, bring this bill to the floor.
For more this morning, we're joined by NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Sirkin. Julie, good morning. So let's start with the Mayorkas impeachment. It now goes to the Senate for trial. When can we expect that to happen? And given that Democrats control the Senate, I mean, is there any chance here he's convicted?
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. What a split screen moment yesterday, right? When you had the Senate passing that foreign aid bill, and then on the other side, you had the House Republicans impeaching Mayorkas. It's a really good question you bring up of what happens next. Obviously, Democrats control the Senate, so certainly we can see a preview of how this trial is going to play out there. They've called this nothing more than partisan politics by the Republicans. They've said that the border needs to be addressed with legislation. Obviously, Republicans blocked that effort. But basically, about in a week and a half, when the Senate is back from their recess, their state work period, the impeachment articles will be transmitted from the House to the Senate, and then Senate pro tempore Patty Murray, one of the top senators on the Democratic side of the aisle, will preside over a trial, and senators will be sworn in as jurors almost immediately.
So, Julie, let's talk about the foreign aid package. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says he knows there are Republicans in the House who would vote for the bill, but Speaker Mike Johnson has vowed he's not going to put the Senate bill on the House floor without a border policy change in it. Can the Speaker really ignore a bill that does have Republican support like this? And is there a way for Democrats to get around the Speaker?
It's such a good question, Joe. With 22 Republicans in the Senate supporting, signing on to this bill, rather, with nearly all Democrats, certainly that is a strong sign, a signal, certainly that would put pressure on Speaker Johnson to put this package on the floor. But you're right. He said he's not going to do it without those border security provisions attached to it. We all know that Senate bipartisan border security bill that would have changed asylum laws, that would have made it harder for illegal migrants to cross the border. That was blocked by Republicans in the Senate, in large part because Speaker Johnson had said publicly this bill is dead on arrival. So now, of course, Johnson faces several options. Some of them include something called as a procedural tactic known as the discharge petition. It's all these wonky things the Democrats and the minority could potentially do to force Johnson's hand here. The question is, though, of course, Johnson has a lot of political calculations to make if he wants to stay in the job. He already was threatened by a motion to vacate, essentially oust him from that top job by one of his own. And certainly this is something he's watching closely because former Speaker Kevin McCarthy was ousted in the same vein.
Julie, House Speaker Mike Johnson wants this in-person, one-on-one meeting with President Joe Biden before any action's taken on this supplemental aid package. What are you hearing from House Republicans? Where do we go from here? And is that meeting going to happen?
And this was really interesting last night. Steve Scalise, who's actually the GOP leader, he was out for cancer treatment for the last couple of weeks. I caught up with him last night, and he brought this up to me. I was later able to confirm this by a source close to Johnson that, yes, he's been asking the president for a one-on-one meeting for the last 2 months. You'll remember they had that big meeting with a bunch of key congressional leaders in January. Johnson says that's not enough. Here's what Scalise had to tell me last night.
Bottom line, without H.R. 2, does Ukraine get aid or not?
Well, the president needs to sit down with the speaker and start talking about that. Why he refuses to talk is beyond me. But I think at some point the president's going to recognize if he wants to talk about Ukraine, he's got to also talk about securing America's border. And the speaker stands ready. But the speaker's been calling on the president for months now to have this meeting. The president's got to do his job.
Look, for the White House's part, they want Johnson to admit that he has to at least form some kind of compromise here when it comes to sending aid overseas. Obviously, the partisan Republican H.R. 2 bill to secure the border will not stand a chance in the Senate. The president said a long time ago that is dead on arrival on his desk. And so we'll see if Johnson actually wants to compromise here. But I just really don't think border security is going to get done in an election year, guys.
Julie Sirkin, thank you so much. Well, while Washington fights over foreign aid funding, Ukraine says the delay is having a major impact on the battlefield in their ongoing fight with Russia. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel has the latest from Ukraine.
I returned to the city of Kherson, near the front line in southern Ukraine. It was largely empty. Russian troops just a few hundred yards away now attack with artillery and drones about 30 times every day. It wasn't always this dire. 2 years ago, when Russian troops invaded Ukraine, they quickly occupied Kherson until Ukrainian troops found their feet and liberated the city. It turned out to be Ukraine's last major victory. The counteroffensive fizzled. Russia still holds about 20% of Ukraine's territory and now has the advantage of momentum. Vlad Nedostop works with Ukraine's civilian defense here.
They're firing a lot.
All the time.
If you don't get more ammunition, are you going to lose this war?
Yes.
Down here in the basement, they've organized a small show for the kids underground.
Under a theater, volunteers dressed like angels play Pass the Hat. If the music stops and you have the hat, you have to get on stage and do a crazy dance. Ava Dubovia is 11 years old.
What's it like to live like that? To live here with that weight, that burden?
Every day could be your last because bombs are falling close by and you have to run to a shelter. This is our life, our reality, and it's a nightmare, she says. And this is the only safe place in the city where children can play.
President Zelensky called on Congress to approve more aid, saying the world is waiting for American leadership.
Our thanks to Richard Engel for that report. As we've been discussing the new aid package passed in the Senate, it would provide about $60 billion to Ukraine, the largest since the war began 2 years ago.
Israeli Defense Forces have released new video allegedly showing a top Hamas leader using the tunnel system in Gaza days after the October 7th attacks. His name is Yahya Sinwar. Now, NBC News has not been able to independently verify that the person seen in the video is Sinwar. The Hamas leader has been evading officials since the attack on Israel in October. Israeli leaders say Sinwar is one of several people directly responsible for planning and executing the October 7th attack. NBC News International correspondent Raf Sanchez joins us now from Tel Aviv with more on this. Raf, good morning.
Joe, good morning. Those hostage negotiation talks are continuing in Cairo, and while Sinwar is not at the table, he looms large over these talks. There is an irony here that Israel is indirectly negotiating with this man and at the same time trying to track him down and kill him.
4 months into this war, Israel claims to have killed, captured, or wounded around half of Hamas's 30,000 fighters in Gaza.
We've shattered 18 out of 24 Hamas battalions, and we're mopping up the remaining terrorists with ongoing raids.
But Israel's #1 target remains at large. Yahya Sinwar is the leader of Hamas in Gaza. And according to Israeli officials, the man who masterminded the October 7th massacre. Sinwar has been in hiding since then, and despite a $400,000 bounty on his head and an air and ground assault on Gaza that's killed thousands of Palestinian civilians, he's so far stayed one step ahead of Israeli forces. We joined some of those troops as they pushed into Gaza, arriving in the remains of Han Yunis, Sinwar's home city.
Where we're standing here, my soldiers fought to take this ground.
We followed them deep underground into a set of tunnels where they believe Sinwar was recently sheltering. They offered no firm evidence, but said these beds suggest senior leaders were here. While inside this cage, troops say they discovered the DNA of 3 young hostages, all released during the temporary ceasefire deal in November.
Somewhere in this vast tunnel complex, the Israeli military believes Sinwar is hiding. It is not clear if he is still able to give commands to his troops, how much he can communicate with the outside world. But every day that he is alive is a day that he is defying Israel.
And so the hunt continues.
You've been chasing Sinwar for 4 months. Why is it you haven't caught him yet?
We'll get him. He doesn't care about his people. He's putting his people between him and us.
Sinwar was captured by Israel in the late 1980s, but he was released in 2011, one of more than 1,000 Palestinian prisoners freed in exchange for a single soldier held by Hamas.
He's looking at you, and you say to yourself, he's going to kill me. He's going to jump at me.
Michael Kubi, a former Israeli intelligence officer, spent more than 100 hours interrogating Sinwar.
Sinwar is very charismatic. People used to say that he is psychopath. I say that he is not psychopath. He knew exactly what he wanted.
Sinwar learned to speak Hebrew in prison.
not only to speak Hebrew, he read all the books about the Israeli leaders, about the history, about the geography, about everything that he can read the Israeli. He even translate, books from Hebrew to Arabic at the prison.
Having studied his enemy, Sinwar rose quickly through Hamas's leadership after his release and fooled Israel into believing he was more interested in governing Gaza than using it as a base for attacks, a misreading that became fatally clear on October 7th. Israel now hunting Sinwar, while at the same time negotiating with him over the fate of the hostages. And few believe his death will mean the defeat of Hamas.
Israel has assassinated so many of Hamas leaders in the past, didn't do anything to the organization, but make it stronger, more determined.
But for Israel, killing Sinwar would be a symbolic victory and some small measure of justice.
Now, I met Sinwar 5 years ago in Gaza. He's a very intense man. As you can imagine, his background is from Hamas's internal security force, where he is alleged to have murdered a number of suspected Palestinian collaborators. And Israeli officials say they believe he is keeping some of those hostages close to him for his own protection and that he won't allow himself to be taken alive. Jeff.
All right, Raf Sanchez, thanks for that report. Let's bring in former Israeli intelligence director Efrem Halavi for more on this. Thank you so much for joining us. So this video, does it change the way Israel approaches the hunt for Sinwar at all? And just overall, what's at stake here for Israeli forces?
I think every day we're getting closer to him. Every day the area in which he can move safely is becoming less and less possible to negotiate and to move across. And therefore, it's a question of time now. And it's a question of the determination of Israeli defense forces to get at him and ultimately to kill him. Because that is the mission now, not to arrest him again, as was in the past, but to settle the account with him, which is the biggest account we've had with such a person.
How big a loss would the capture or the killing, as you're describing, of Sinwar signify for Hamas? I mean, is that sort of an indicator that makes it seem almost that victory over Hamas for Israeli leadership is possible?
I don't think that a single killing of a leader is the end of the story, but it certainly is a very major step in that direction. And since Sinwar, for many years, has been the commander on the ground, obviously, once he's no longer there, the future of the movement he has been serving is in grave doubt of survival.
We've seen Israeli forces have been targeting Han Yunis. That is actually where Sinwar was born. Do you expect the attacks on the region are going to continue as this search for Sinwar continues? What do you think we're going to see strategically from Israel's military?
There are two things we're going to see. First of all, we have the negotiation on the release of Israel's hostages, which are in the hands of the Hamas, and that is a major item on the agenda. And negotiations are being held in Cairo. There's not been a major change in the situation at the moment, but I think as days go by, the chances of this negotiation producing a positive result of an exchange is growing. Secondly, parallel to this, two things are happening. First of all, the move against Sinwar personally, and thirdly, which is no less significant, as I talked to you this morning, the situation in the north of the country has been exaggerated now more than it has been in the past. We had a very, very heated exchange this morning at the north of the country. We have suffered the death of one of our citizens, and there were direct attempts to hit at the center of the command positions of the Israeli forces in the north.
All right. Efrem Halavi, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate your time and your expertise.
Thank you.
Friday is going to be a big day for former President Trump. That's when a verdict is expected in his $370 million civil fraud case here in New York. A person with direct knowledge of the situation tells NBC News. The ruling will end a trial that began last October and included testimony from the former president, plus his 3 oldest kids. Trump is accused of inflating the value of his assets in order to get more favorable loan terms. The lawsuit was brought on by New York Attorney General Letitia James. Judge Arthur Engoron, who's presiding over the case, already found Trump and his executives engaged in fraud. He must now decide the issue of intent and what penalties Trump and his company should pay. Attorney General James is seeking $370 million in damages and a ban on Trump conducting business in the New York real estate industry.
Well, Democrat Tom Suozzi is heading back to Congress after coming out on top in the special election in New York's 3rd congressional district.
NBC News projects Suozzi has defeated Republican Mazi Pilip by more than 7 points in a closely watched race. That means Democrats have flipped the Long Island district, once held by former Congressman George Santos. He, of course, was expelled in December following his indictment on federal charges. Now, Republicans' thin majority in the House is even narrower with a 6-seat edge, 219 to 213. Suozzi thanked his supporters following his victory.
This race was fought amidst a closely divided electorate, much like our whole country. It's time to find common ground and start delivering for the people of the United States of America.
For more on this race, let's bring in NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray. Mark, always good to have you with us. So how was he able to pull off this win? What are some of the big takeaways in terms of how voters felt heading to the polls yesterday? What did we learn?
Yeah, Savannah, this is a big victory for Democrats and likely the most competitive special election we're going to see before Election Day 2024 in November. But Democrats did have some clear advantages in this contest. This is a congressional district that Joe Biden won by 8 percentage points in 2020. Democrats had the spending advantage. Suozzi's a former member of Congress who represented this district. But on the issues, one thing that we can actually end up learning is that Democrats really did lean into immigration. They weren't playing defense, they were playing offense. And Suozzi ended up criticizing Republicans for walking away from that Senate immigration deal that former President Donald Trump helped tank.
Be interesting to see if that's a test of what we'll see later on this year when it comes to the immigration issue. Of course, yesterday in the Northeast, big winter storm. Long Island was certainly part of that. How much of an impact did weather have on the turnout? And did early voting, mail-in voting, something we know former President Trump isn't a huge fan of, did that play a role here?
Yeah, Joe, everything ends up mattering in our elections, in our closely divided politics, and weather and turnout. Absolutely. Overall turnout was about 170,000 participants. Pretty good for a special election, but do note that that is down from the 270,000 who participated in the 2022 midterms in this district when George Santos was able to win that race. And as you also ended up mentioning, the Republican Party over the last few years has been a party that has sometimes waited until Election Day to participate in elections, and the weather component can sometimes be a variable. If you have the opportunity to vote early, as other folks sometimes end up recommending, that would end up mitigating a last-second snowstorm like we saw yesterday in New York.
So, Mark, we mentioned just how razor-thin this hold that the Republicans have is. What are some of the challenges that they're going to face now with an even smaller majority in the House?
Yeah, here's an important example, even just from yesterday. House Republicans were able to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas by 1 single vote yesterday. But now with Democrats flipping this seat, that brings down the Republican majority by 1 vote, which makes things that we saw like yesterday, which was tough, even harder for the Republican Party. This is the thinnest majority that we have seen in recent memory for any Republican, for any party in the House of Representatives, and that majority is now going to be smaller for the Republicans.
All right, Mark, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.